Hey, we're back here at Wheels in Motion. I'm with Mike Unessa, the owner, and you guys liked it so much when we talked about the Survivor cars and even got to drive one that, well, we wanted to come back and spend a little bit more time on the 63 Impala. So can you walk me through this car? Tell me a little about it.
Sure, Kevin. Thanks for coming back. 1963 Impala Super Sport. Convertible, 4-speed, 38,000 miles, original owner. Parked it in 1974, and I really didn't get an answer why he parked it, but he did at his mother's house. And we drug it out just the way it is, put air in the tires,
wow,
and we're going to bring it back to life. And,
so you say it's all original paint?
Original paint, and look.
Original paint.
Look at that. I mean, it'll clean up like $1 million, but we didn't clean it yet because we wanted to show before and after. You know, look at the engine. It's got the mandatory fin Corvette valve covers, which they all did back in the 60s.
Of course.
The white exhaust manifold.
Well, all the accessories, they're all chrome stuff. It's all like a day two restoration from 1963.
63.
Chrome, that looks like maybe a Mr. Gasket
Yep,
accessory.
snap-on thing.
Yep.
And the wheels, Fenton wheels with double white walls and the spinners.
Cool.
And it carries throughout the car. I mean, if you come into the inside of the car, it's got the vintage sun tack, vintage gauges. It's got an 8-track tape player.
Yeah. You know, one of my favorite elements in these cars is people call it engine turning, but the true term is jeweling.
Yeah.
The jeweling on the dash, and that's drawn out of World War II and the things that they did, but it's all down the side trim, and it's all there. There's no nicks, there's no dings, the steering wheel's not cracked.
And the interior will clean up. I put new carpet in it, but all the door panels and stuff, like they get sticky from sitting, and we use Prep-Sol, and that takes it off without damaging the color. Okay. So the interior will clean up like $1 million.
I got to do a test. There's nothing like the sound of an original car that's never been apart when the door closes.
Unbelievable.
Wow. Okay.
Original convertible top. How many 63 Impalas have the original convertible top that's still nice?
Well, I don't think I've seen one in a long, long time.
No. The guy's a real cool guy, him and his wife. Imagine this, they've been married 40 years and she never rode in the car.
Wow.
She's the one that came to me because she knows I'm known for original. Yeah. I do a lot of original restorations, crayon marks.
Well, there's the backstory there. Why was she not allowed in the car?
It was never on the road. She says, think of it. That's the first thing she said. Imagine, we've been married for 40 years and I never had a ride in that car. It's been parked in the garage up at his mom's house. So, and they were afraid the garage was getting rickety. They were afraid the garage would fall down. So Colin and I went up and drug it out. And like I said, we put air in the tires and here it is, just the way it is. I had it in the showroom for a while and the people just loved it because, you know, and you know, of course, some people are like, why is it dirty? Why didn't you clean it up? Just wait, it'll come to life.
No, one of the coolest cars I ever saw at a car show was a Hertz Shelby, 65 model. Maybe it was 66. Anyway, fastback car with the gold stripes, and the guy was literally a barn find, and he took it out of the barn, didn't clean anything off of it. They pushed it onto a trailer. You can still see where the flat spots were on the tires. That drew more crowds. Awesome. It was at the 45th anniversary of the Mustang in Birmingham. That car showed beautifully, and it was wonderfully horrible.
Yeah.
This is a few steps better than that. Well, Mike, thanks so much for the trip back in time. This is an unbelievable car. You're so fortunate to be the steward of this beautiful automobile, and I want to ride in it when you get it done. What do you think?
Oh, yeah, we can definitely make that happen, Kevin. Thanks for coming to see me again.
Well, thanks for sharing your world. This is awesome, man.
Thank you.
And about that Z28 sitting in the back lot.
What Z28?
Let's go see if that thing starts.
You don't miss anything, do you?
Let's go see if that thing starts.
Hi, I'm Mike Unessa. Welcome to another episode of Car Stories on the PCTV network. I'm here in my showroom at 525 East High Street, and we're looking at this beautiful 70 Swinger 340 4-speed. This car is one we did last winter. Jeff Morris did all the metal and quarter panels, inner wheelhouses, and I did the body and paint. And Bob Bauer and I, Colin, we assembled the car, and he had it all last summer, had a lot of fun with it. He brought it back over the winter for us to, you know, do a little tune-up here and there on it and make it even better. A lot of people do that. We sometimes get cars in here every winter, the same cars, and they do a little bit more to it, make it a little bit better. But this is one of beautiful examples of our work, and it actually came from Ludwig Motors here in Pottstown. Here's a reproduction of the original window sticker, and I don't know if you can see that price, but $3,500. Can you imagine? 340, 4-speed, beautiful little car for $3,000, $3,500. Amazing. So anybody that knows me knows that I'm from Pottstown, and I like a lot of the local history. These are some old circus posters that I picked up, framed them, and they're actually here in the showroom for sale. we're trying something new here in the showroom. We have some collectibles and some antique car stuff and local history, and we're going to sell it. This t-shirt is not for sale. This is a t-shirt that was produced this summer. If anybody got a chance to do the cruise on High Street, they were selling these t-shirts, and it's really cool because there's some really cool pictures of the Rosedale Diner and Mrs. Smith's Pie and the New York store. So again, we have some items. We're getting more in all the time. We buy and sell memorabilia, local stuff, car stuff, here at Wheels in Motion. WeatherTech is a big seller here at Wheels in Motion. We stock a lot of the ones for the newer trucks, and we can usually get them Wednesday or Friday. We get deliveries. WeatherTech is a great product made in the USA, and the thing about buying them here is you don't pay shipping on them. And we do really good with WeatherTech, so if you know anybody, send them down. We do sell other items here at Wheels in Motion for your car, air fresheners and different WeatherTech products. And we also do consignment sale on cars. This red Corvette was on before. In the middle of winter, we actually reduced the price to $22,900. 69 Corvette convertible, 4-speed, ready to cruise. So if you're interested in a Corvette, or if you have one to sell, come on down to Wheels in Motion, and we'll try to sell it for you, or we'll try to get you to buy this one. Remember in the showroom I was saying how some people bring their cars back each winter and get different things done. Here's the perfect example. This car was sitting in this lady's garage for about 10 years, and 3 winters ago we did brakes and tires and tune-up and ball joints and all the mechanical stuff so she can drive it and enjoy it. Last winter it came back and we had a new top put on it. We detailed a couple things and did more to it. Now this winter it's back and we did a whole new interior in it, new gauges, detailed the engine, and by spring she'll be out and she'll be ready to cruise in her 65 Mustang convertible. And a neat story is in the summertime they came in, husband and wife, and they've had the car for years. It was sitting in the garage and it was summertime, and the husband says, let's take the Mustang out at 10 o'clock at night to go get ice cream. He's telling me this story. And he says, it was so cool, beautiful summer night. He said, we didn't get home till 1:30 in the morning. So, and that's what makes me feel good when you do these cars for people and they actually enjoy them. These cars were meant to be driven. And when they sit in the garage, they sometimes deteriorate. And it was just a nice story that they decided to take the Mustang for ice cream and they wound up driving around for 3 hours. 65 Mustang convertible. How about this beautiful 55 Chevy Bel Air? 2-door sedan, a new customer. His name is Bill. He's from the Reading, Ole area. He had a little bit of paint touch-up for us to do. We repainted the roof, touched up a couple nicks for him, and some other service work, so he's ready to go cruising this summer. But what a car, beautiful colors, leather interior, air conditioning, just a beautiful car to drive, 55 Chevy. 59 Chevy pickup truck. This is a good customer of ours, Brad Ray, local guy. We did a 66 Chevelle for him about 5 years ago. So he picked up this 59 pickup truck and he wanted it to handle better and stop better. So we're doing a disc brake conversion on the front and new A-frame. Reinforced the frame on the inside here. We welded plates in to beef it up. Rack and pinion steering. We're putting the old motor back in for now, but he has the idea maybe next winter we'll do a different motor, a bigger motor. But for now, we're concentrating on the suspension, steering, and the brakes. These old trucks rode like a truck, and he wants it to ride a little better and stop a little better. So this is one of our projects here that we had the motor out, we did all the framework, mounted the steering. Now we just set the motor back in, and we'll start putting the front end back on and the exhaust and making it run again. And he'll have this wrapped up so he can go cruising in this one. 59 Chevy pickup truck. Okay, in 1989 Buick Riviera. I know it's hard to tell right now because it's all apart, but you'll see that we did some body work on it. And if you look real close here, we spray a guide coat on it. And what that guide coat does is when we sand it, anything low or any imperfections, you'll be able to see because of the dark spray coat over the primer. So it's been primed, guide coated, and the next step is to block it. Now these are one of these cars that they aren't worth a whole lot of money, but this gentleman He owns Nick's Pizza up in Stowe, Mr. Palumbo. He bought this car new and it has sentimental value and he wants it redone. So we're repainting it, new vinyl top, all new mechanicals, tires, brakes, and so forth. And I'm not sure how quick this one will be done because it's hard to get parts for, but when it's done, it's going to be pretty. Okay, a lot of people think that we only work on old cars, but we work on new cars when they get into a collision or the frames are bent. Now this one here was a deer hit. It's a 2011 Cadillac SRX. It's my cousin, John Nailen. A lot of people know John in the area, and unfortunately hit a deer. He bent this bar, so that's new. Smashed the radiator, the air conditioner condenser, so they're all new. Jeff's painting some of the parts right now, the bumper cover and so forth. We'll get it back together and get him back in it. It's an insurance job, and a lot of people don't realize that when you do hit a deer, for example, the deductible is a lot less than if you actually hit in a collision with another vehicle. So if you watch past episodes, I showed you some of the new tools we bought for collision work, but a lot of times we only have old cars in the showroom and people think, oh, he works on only old cars. Nope, we work on new cars, old cars, body work, mechanical work, just about everything here at Wheels in Motion. 1949 Ford pickup truck. Here's the cab. We pulled the cab off the frame, welded some patches in it, and now we're doing the final body work. We'll get this one in primer and get it sanded down. The customer's not sure what color yet. He has a little bit of time, but it won't be too long before he needs to decide what color we're painting this 49 Ford pickup. So here at Wheels in Motion, all the guys that work here have different talents, like Colin's a mechanic, Bob's a mechanic, Jeff, one of the best frame men and metal men that I ever known, and in the area, he's hard to beat. So what we do is we give the jobs to people that can do them well. So I wouldn't give somebody a job that wasn't their forte. This, George Hansen, who's I've known for years, this was his baby, 1936 Ford. It was in a previous show in primer, I think 2 months ago. It was in primer, now it's in paint. And that's an original 36 color, it's called Cordova Tan. This is my project. I've been working on it for over the past few months, did the body work on it, painted it last week, and the color is supposed to look original, but it's a hot rod. It'll have red wheels, white walls, black top. It's a worked flathead Ford with an S10 Chevy 5-speed. So again, it will appear original, but when the car's done, it'll be nice to drive. Rack and pinion steering, power steering, air conditioning. So this is one that I just painted last week. That's out of the gun, meaning that it hasn't been sanded and polished yet. That's the way it came out of the booth. Beautiful, beautiful 1936 Ford Cabriolet convertible. That means it has a back seat and it's a convertible. So here's some more pieces for the 36 Ford. This is the hood side. And a lot of times people don't realize the hours that go into these projects because you're straightening this hood with no body filler because the inside of the hood has to look just as nice as the outside. So you can't have any dents on the inside or the outside. So it takes a lot of work to get these things nice. Now that's out of the gun, meaning that I painted that with a Glamour Clear. It's a real high solid clear that we use for show cars. Then, once it sits for a couple days and ages, the trunk lid, if you get a shot of that, that's been sanded with 1,000, that's been sanded with 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, and 5,000 sandpaper. And you can see the shine is pretty much gone, but it's flat. There's no orange peel, no dirt, no nothing. The hood tops are the same way over on this table. They've been sanded with 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, and 5,000. And the 3,000 and 5,000 is basically like a piece of cloth. It's like a shirt material. And it buffs it out to the point that you see here. And then from this point, I'll buff it with a wool pad, and I'll use that new Rupes buffer that I demonstrated on a couple shows ago. The Rupes buffer is from Italy. And I'll buff this up and it'll look like glass. No imperfections, no orange peel. So the next step for these pieces is to buff them up. Okay, so I've been spending a lot of time in this position inside of Big Red. Repainting the dashboard, redoing the emblems, a lot of rewiring. If you didn't see the past episodes when we dynoed the motor at AMS and then we put the motor in the car, the motor's in the car, it's all running. I haven't driven it yet, but it's pretty much ready to go. And again, if you haven't seen those episodes, go to the PCTV network and look on Car Stories, and you'll see probably 3 or 4 episodes where we covered the progress of Big Red. So again, I've been spending a lot of time right here. I put kick panel speakers in it. I redid the dash, cleaned up a lot of things, but here's the thing I want to show you. Now, a lot of the younger viewers might not know what a reverb is, but I put in a stereo in the car with the kick panel speakers, and there she is, right? Not too bad. But this is I'll turn it down. This is an NOS Motorola reverb unit from the 60s. And what that was an amplifier that made it sound like an echo chamber, made it sound like you were in a concert hall. So I'm going to turn it on and you can listen to it. Ready? What do you think? Not bad, huh? So that's a reverb. If you ever hear that word, a lot of Chryslers had them, a lot of Pontiacs had them. The Camaros, I owned a car. They had reverbs from the factory in the Camaros for September, October, November, and December of 1966. The new Camaro. In December of 1966, they dropped the option. And I was lucky enough to have a 1967 Camaro that had a reverb in it that was built the 3rd week of September 1966. And that particular car had electric windows, tilt wheel, AM, FM, rear speaker, console gauges, disc brakes, remote mirror, air conditioning. It was loaded. It was a car ordered for the showroom to show off the new Camaro. So it had, I think it was missing 1 or 2 options, but one of the options was a reverb. So I was lucky enough to have this one. I put it in Big Red. Big Red hasn't had a radio in it since the 80s. Remember, it was erased all those years. But now it's got a radio, it's got a reverb, and it's starting to come back together so I can cruise this summer like everybody else. Okay, another item in Big Red's interior is that MSD box, and the red thing aside of it is actually an ignition coil. That's a Mallory ignition coil and an MSD7AL. MSD7 is really a hot box for spark for racing. And what that means, MSD, is multiple spark discharge. Say a spark plug would fire one time on a conventional ignition system. This box, it'll start out, let's say 10,000 volts. It'll go back and forth 20,000, 30,000, 40,000, 50,000 volts. So the spark plugs stay clean and they don't foul, and they're an essential thing for racing a high compression, high performance engine. There's street versions. I have one in my 56 Chevy that's an MSD6. So not quite as potent, probably has about 35,000 volts of spark, which don't get poked by it. And it's something you could add to your muscle car or your old car that beefs up the ignition system, makes spark plugs last longer, and just makes it run a lot better. We mount them inside the car if you can, like this one, because they stay cool. They don't get under the hood heat and they last forever. That one there is probably 30 years old. That's how old that box is. So, like I said, Big Red's interior is coming along. Next step for the interior is to put sound deadener in and the carpeting in. The seats right now are out getting reupholstered at Joe Somnick's. As soon as I get them back, I can finish the interior. So to be in the collision business today, you need some tools. A few episodes ago, I went over all the new tools we bought at SEMA. Spot welder, silicon bronze welder, measuring system, frame machine. This is a Garmat spray booth that I bought 5 years ago. We had it at Jefferson, we moved it here. This is how we do our painting. We paint the car and bake it 140 degrees for 25 minutes. So the car comes out with a baked finish just like the factory. A lot of the local body shops don't have a spray booth like this, and they don't bake their paint. Here at Wheels in Motion, we try to do things better than new or as good as new, and this is one of our key tools to making your collision job perfect. Okay, so Jeff Morris is in the booth, and he's working on this silver Honda, and you can see him applying what they call a control coat. On metallic paint, we put a light coating on to make sure all the metallics dispersed evenly. So this is a silver car. Silver is very difficult to paint, so you have to make sure it's not blotchy or striped, and the control coat takes care of that. We paint PPG water-based paint here at Wheels in Motion. It's good for the environment, it's not bad for your health, and it's what most new cars, I would say 99% of all new cars today are water-based paint from the factory. So our color matches better, our finishes are just like the factory finish. So we're back in the showroom here at Wheels in Motion. For all your automotive needs, whether it be mechanical, body shop, or if you're in an accident, we handle insurance claims. We do most of the stuff right here in-house at 525 East High Street. So if you need anything done to your car, stop in and see us. My son Nick is usually at the front counter. He'll take good care of you. And if it's an old car, new car, mechanical, paint, body, we do it here at Wheels in Motion. So don't forget to stop in and say hi, or just see what's in the showroom. And that's about it for another episode of Car Stories here on PCTV. Thanks for tuning in.